Hello, everyone, and welcome to ForcedToPod. My name is Saxon, but you can call me Sax. Joining me today on another duo episode, the man who knows no stranger nor pepper too spicy, all jacked up on pre-workout. Nick, how you doing, man?
Good. The pre-workout's gone. Now it's all soreness. I got
We're
protein.
in the dip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put some protein in the drink. Hopefully I can recover.
Yeah.
Might have gone too hard. It's all good.
Yeah. You sent me a message this morning. You said you said I might be running a little behind. I was all jacked up and I was throwing weights around. So what were you working on this morning?
I have been doing, well, it's part of my fitness journey. If I want to get influencer about it.
Absolutely.
I have been doing, there's like a light version of Insanity. You remember those 45-minute, Sean T,
Oh, yeah.
you're jumping around. Yeah, that kind of thing. There's ones that are 25 minutes long. It's called T25. I've been doing that program for a couple of months. And it's good for me for like mobility, and you do body weight stuff most of the time. The last month, you're doing some dumbbell exercises, getting a little bit of a pump. So getting a little more flexible, cardio goes up a little bit. It's like moderate intensity intervals. And then I finished that 2 weeks ago, and then I ordered a plate carrier, like a bulletproof vest, but specifically for exercising, and it's 20 pounds. It has like actual metal plates in it. So I started that over with 20 pounds. So I did that all week. And today I did a couple of like at-home quarantine style workouts with weights. So it's like bent over rows. You pull the weights up.
Yep.
And flex your back at the same time. So it does your lower back, did some hammer curls, and then the big ones, I did some deadlifts, and then the big ones that suck really bad are elevated squats.
Okay.
So I lift your heels up a couple inches on a book or something. I use some weight plates that I had that my buddy Mitch gave me when he moved. I'm storing them in my basement. And then I put my vest on, and I had a 20-pound dumbbell behind my head. So
Word.
Yeah. And like all of that, I was lightweight, 20 or 25-pound dumbbells, but you do one set to failure and then take like a 10-second break and then do another set of 5 to 10 or whatever you could do. So you're kind of smoking yourself.
Gotcha.
I took a shower and I'm still sweaty. So
yeah, that's the worst. And we may talk about some of the worst stuff here in a little bit, but some housekeeping here to get us rolling. This is episode 21 of the podcast, and I would be lying if I said this was our first attempt at recording episode 21. We tried our best the other night to have Zach back on. However, the vibe was off and the technology was off. We could not. Nick was saying my audio was dropping in and out. We couldn't hang with Zach. His internet was kind of giving us issues.
The universe was telling us to not do it.
Yeah, so we came back with something completely different today for you guys. But we talked about last week, if you listen, that after this episode, we will be in the top of all podcasts of all time, just because we're stubborn.
Look out, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, exactly. It could be something where we are extremely talented, but it's probably more stubbornness, maybe a little mix of the two. So, but we appreciate you guys for being here. So if you are here, would you like, subscribe, follow, share, do all that stuff? Today's episode is going to be a fun one. Walker should be back next week. Going to tell us all about his trip with his Padre out in Big Bend. So we're having a good time today, though. So let's hop right into what we're going to, the complete show today. What we are doing, we are going to utilize some of the features of the technology at our hands. Let's see if I can do this right. And I actually don't know where this came from, and I'm hoping if you guys are watching the video form, you're going to be able to see this right. So, but we're going to do this thing. Essentially, we are going to be building out a tier list of petty grievances. Okay, so I was thinking through some things that, just happen in your daily life. You come across and
dude, I'm already fired up seeing thumbnails of some of these.
Yeah. So I threw those in there. Nick just found out about this, so this is hot off the press for him as well. So you guys are about the same place there, but here is the concept. So we're just going to drop these in, and we're actually, instead of ranking them, good thing to bad thing, we're trying to see, okay, when it moves up. So here's our tier list. If you're just listening, at the very bottom, it's like, meh, whatever, like doesn't matter that much. Step number 2 up would be, come on, man, like what are we doing here? Third would be, my patience is being tested. Like this is it's hitting a situation where we're starting to feel that blood pressure rising a little bit. The next one is, if this happens one more time, just exasperated. And then finally is, I'm about to lose it. And so we're all pretty mild-mannered here on ForcedToPod, but I could see there being a few things that kind of get our blood boiling. Nick, you got any questions about this? Are you ready to just hop in?
No, send it.
Let's do it. So the first one that I have is, and these are in no specific order, they can go wherever, just drop them in here. These are just how the picture's uploaded. The first one is people who are in the drive-through lane at fill in the blank, whatever your fast food place of choice, and they act like they've never been to a fast food place before. They get in line, they get to the window. If they got there faster than they thought they would, I guess I could give them a break. But the problem is, people will sit there in line, they're on their phone, they're doing whatever, they're talking on the phone, and then they act surprised when it's their time. They get to the speaker, and they have to order. And so, Nick, where's that fall for you? What's your gut reaction to that?
Talking about slow drive-through?
Yeah, slow drive-through, but specifically the people who just kind of act like they're surprised when they drove specifically to the drive-thru,
right?
And they get there and they're like, "What? Wait, hold on. What, you want to know what I want to eat?" It's like, what do you think was going to happen?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me that much. I used to really like go to McDonald's. It takes more than 2 minutes, and I'm losing my mind because everybody's been to McDonald's before. But at this point, like, if I see more than 2 cars in the line, I know it's going to take longer than I've expected previously. So and most of the time I'm only going to Taco Bell, which is a point I want to raise for the generality of the podcast, is that Taco Bell's the best, and I will always talk about Taco Bell. Actually, I have my one of 500 limited edition Taco Bell hoodie.
Oh no, it's blended into the background.
Oh, it's also an invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
I should put
awesome.
it on.
That would be awesome.
So when
Harry Potter collab,
right? When
invisibility cloak.
Let's bring it back. When I go to Taco Bell, I order on the app before I ever get to the drive-thru. So I just roll up to the speaker and say, "Hey, I have an order for Nick." And they say, "Okay, pull up." So I know that even if I have to wait for all these people in front of me, when I get to the window, when I get to the speaker, I'm chilling. I'm good to go.
Yep.
It's not going to take very long. So drive-thru I only get irritated when my wife and kids are with me and they're getting irritated. And so they're mad that people are taking forever when I know that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that one, come on, man, maybe it's just like all right, you've probably been here before, figure it out. But
yeah,
they might have kids screaming in the back or whatever. That's not going to make my blood pressure go up.
That's true. I feel like, I will say I'm going to present these as big as they can, and then we're going to have to come back down to earth with them. But I feel like the one thing with kids, and this is just, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are kids out there that have like an exquisite palate and wide range, and they want something different from McDonald's every time. I've never met them. I don't know that they exist. I feel like it's chicken nuggies, give me them fries, and whatever drink they're allowed to get
Sprite.
by their parents. Yeah. Like Sprite, or, if your parents are warlords, they're giving you the carton of milk or whatever. Like,
oh, yeah.
That's kind of where we're getting to. So, all right. Yeah, I feel good with the come on, man. We're doing that. It's like, what are we doing here? Let's get it together. All right. The next one that I have here, just go by the images here, is autocorrect fails. So the example it has here is like, I'm about to go to the gym now. It's kind of cut off in the picture. And then the text that was going back is like, "Sure, have fun, Abby."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, baby. Oh, and then it's like, "Oh, boy, here we go."
Oh,
like,
boy, here we go. Yeah.
Calling his girl the wrong name because baby switched to Abby. So I'll take this one. I think that the greatest and the worst, or it's like a very split, two sides of the coin invention, was the swipe text. Because
that's what I use exclusively.
Exactly. That's all I do too. So the amount of times that I'm responding to something, but it allows me to just look off. It's kind of the touchscreen equivalent to T9. And I love T9 back in the day. Like being able to, if you're not familiar, actually, if you're an older person in our audience, you probably more familiar than our younger audience members, but the fact that the old phones had the ability, they have the numbers and then the letters that were associated under the numbers on the dial pad or whatever, and you go through and you have to hit the numbers the same amount of times. However, the T9 system, if you were typing a certain word and say those letters were on different numbers, all you had to do were hit the 3 numbers that they were, and it was able to tell what you were trying to type. You felt like a god if you could figure out how to do that, and you just sit there under your desk or under the kitchen table or under the dining room table when your dad was not allowing you to text at the table.
Oh yeah, no look.
Oh yeah, you just sit there and you could fire off full conversations
in high school
doing that. But with the swipe texting, at this point, there's no true feedback that comes back to it, right? So like, you can be like, I can be in my head so many times like, oh, I nailed that. Look down, it's a completely different sentence. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah,
but I guess
I have. So obviously I have a Google phone, so I use the Gboard instead of whatever iPhone's equivalent is, and you can add other language keyboards, and so I have Spanish also. So sometimes I'll do that. I won't be looking, and I'll start swiping, and there'll just be Spanish words in the middle of my sentence. I don't know why.
Kind of do that. I mean, this one's not the craziest grievance in the world by any means. This is a man whatever for me, but it's I can see it getting frustrated. I guess I've never been in a position where an autocorrect has really caused me strife.
Yeah, I agree 90% of the way with that. However, I am in a group chat with a bunch of degenerate dickheads. It's the one with all my army buddies. And every time a typo is made, it's ridiculed. And on more than probably a dozen occasions, that typo has been used in our everyday vernacular from now on. So, like the one example I can come up with off the top of my head, well, besides misspelling people's names and then calling them a different names.
Yeah.
So Alex got spelled Axel one time. He gets called Axel a bunch. Kenny
well, that's sick.
Yeah, Kenny is Lenny, Jenny, Kenny. Chuck is Chutch with an H instead of a K on the end. Like but somebody said, I can't even remember the context. One day somebody sent a picture or did something cool, and somebody went to put nice with like 3 I's, but they missed the N and hit the B. So really cool stuff in our group chat now is Bice. Just Bice. It's so stupid. And like, it's fun, but as soon as you typo, you go, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to hear about this. And there's no amount of like ignoring it or correcting it and then acting like it's not a big deal that makes it go away.
Oh yeah.
So it is a meh whatever, unless you're in this specific group with my friends. Then it's kind of, come on.
Yeah. The what comes to mind for me is not a typo in a group chat, but Heather and I have this terrible habit of we'll be like having a serious conversation or something, and then one of us will flub a word. Yeah. And then you just immediately like you just like repeat whatever they said back. I can't think of any example right now. But oh, it's so irritating. It's like when that happens, and then the other person, like, because you've just lost whatever. Yeah, if you were making an argument, you've lost. If you were making a point, you've lost your train of thought. Like you have no clue what you were going on about.
The only way out of it is if you're legitimately having a stroke. That's the only way you can get out of it.
That is true. So. All right, yeah, let's drop this in the meh whatever, but we do have an asterisk on that. I'll just throw that on there because we don't have anything else in there right now. All right, this one is. I feel like this is not very situational. This is just a true annoyance, petty grievance. When you're walking around, you got a sock on, it keeps slipping down in your shoe. I mean, dude, like we've talked about a lot of, the idea of how important dry socks are.
Not having blisters on your heels.
Dude, they absolutely destroyed my heels when we were going for Heather's graduation. So she had her graduation ceremony for her residency. There's just it was the 6 girls who were in her residency class. They were all graduating. It was down the road a little bit from where I work. And for some reason, we didn't find out until about an hour and a half before the ceremony that they didn't have a microphone for this big old room. It had disappeared. Someone had thrown it, like someone had another event in this center and did whatever. And they're like, but you're fine. Like, it's not that big of a room. But the room was extremely long, like long and narrow. And so you would not have been able to hear. And there was a kitchen nearby and stuff making the food. And it was just a kind of a bad situation. And so I ended up having to bring some equipment from my work down. I'm literally in a suit. And it was the end of May. I think it was 96 degrees out. I'm in dress shoes with extremely thin socks, doing that. And then I had this massive cart I was pushing all the stuff down. And then I had to push it down, back down afterwards. The next day, I mean, I'm not even kidding. I took my socks off and they're like shredded.
Yeah. The shoes I wore for my wedding, the dress shoes, I've worn them like 3 weddings, including my own. And as soon as the ceremony was over, I had to take them off and put Vans on because I already had blisters. Like, I had Band-Aids. I had to put Band-Aids on before we walked down the aisle. But they look good, so.
Yeah, I had just some normal, like, tennis shoes on about halfway through the reception. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I had rented the shoes that I was wearing or whatever and had to split over. And then, all of the pictures after that, I look way happier. Because I wasn't in pain,
right?
But it's ideal if you cut the pictures off at the foot. So, where are you feeling for this? What's your gut feeling?
It's happened to me a lot of times, and as a millennial, back in the day, where we had long socks that we had to fold them over to look like ankle socks, so they looked cool. They would always grab on the back of your shoe. I might have had those exact shoes, by the way. And as a person who has some pretty weird sensory issues, this is top tier. I'm about to lose it.
I'm good with that.
I would almost rather go barefoot than have this happen.
That's fair.
And that's coming from a guy who will almost never not at least have socks on.
That's fair. So
yeah, I can't deal with that.
Yeah, I'm with you. And just that feeling, the impending doom that you feel as you're walking around. And every single step you take, you are shredding your ankle further. Yeah. Like, it's just so bad. So, all right, a whole different direction. This one is pretty simple. It's someone who texts you the words "call me" instead of just calling you. Like, no context or not giving you whatever. They just hit you with the "call me" period, and that's it. And so, again, we're in the petty grievances range, but I don't know. Let's start here. Where do you come down on? Would you rather have a conversation over text message, or are you on my side, which is just call me and let's talk things out? Where do you come down?
Don't call me. There are like 4 people I'm willing to talk to on the phone. It's my mom, her brother, my uncle, my dad. Sometimes, depending on if it's been a while and because he texts me all the time.
Yeah.
And my grandma, because she quite literally barely knows how to text.
That's
I
fair.
I don't even know if I called her. I have her home phone number memorized because I have since I was like 4. If I called her home phone right now and said, "Hey, where's your cell phone?" she probably wouldn't even know where it's at. So I mean, but this only bothers me, and not in a grievance way, like at work. If my boss sends me a message,
right?
Like, hey, call me. I'm like, oh shit, okay. I would like to say that my friend Colton, if you try and call him, he will. I mean, top tier. He'll lose it. He will lose it. He hates it so much when people call him. It's pretty funny. I should actually start calling him more often, but
let's call him live. No, I'm just kidding.
He's not awake. I promise he's not awake. But yeah. So I would rather you text me. I'm usually already texting or messaging in Discord or doing something on my phone, or if I'm sitting at my computer, my messages are on my browser. I can just type real fast. The downside is I do often forget to reply to people.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, if somebody says, "Hey, call me," I kind of appreciate that in that like they're saying, "I would like to talk to you, but at your convenience,"
That's
rather
fair.
than just calling me out of nowhere and I'm like, "Oh, did somebody die? What happened?" I don't know.
Yeah. That's fair. I think if we boil it down to its simplest form, it's just the 2 words and period. Just call me, period. I don't
All right.
appreciate that, but
Right.
my dad typically does. He'll hit me with a, "Hey, call me when you're free," that kind of thing, or
Yeah.
something like that.
I guess I'm getting too nuanced into all these categories.
Well, that's kind of the point of it. We got to fill out a pod here. So the I think that for me, I would typically rather call, but I don't necessarily want to linger on a situation when, like on a phone call. So for instance, every day, when we're getting done with work or whatever, obviously, like, we'll give Heather a call, be like, "Hey, heading home," or something of that sort. But like, I'm not of the mindset where we got to like hang out on the phone the whole way I'm driving home. It's like, no, that's me time, right? Like, you're in the car, vibe, do whatever, that kind of thing. And then it's like, if we want to talk about our day, I kind of fall into the place where it's like, well, let's talk when you get home, or when I get home, and we'll just have that discussion. Because that gives me time. If I'm home, she's coming home. Like, it gives me time to wrap up whatever I'm doing, prep. No, she's coming home. All right, let's figure out dinner, this kind of stuff, things like that. But if someone just hits me with the call me, I'm like what you were saying, where it's like I feel like something's gone wrong, something big's up, something of that sort. So I'm kind of on like a, come on, man, like, let's not do this.
Yeah.
All right. Next grievance would be when you're, and this is something that I don't know if this happens as much on streamers as it does on live TV, but when you are watching a show and it flips to the commercial and one of them is extremely loud and the other one is extremely soft.
I'm pretty sure it's illegal. I thought.
Really?
I thought there was some law that was like the commercials can't be a certain percent louder than whatever the loudest part of it. Now, I don't know how you truly regulate that, but it should be illegal. It should be jail time. If you're an advertiser and I'm watching Game of Thrones or whatever, this is a bad example. Game of Thrones didn't have commercials because HBO rules,
fair.
but something dark and ominous, and everybody's whispering, and then all of a sudden you get Ken Nunn lawyer commercials yelling at you or whatever. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
I can't put it in if this happens one more time because it's gonna happen more times.
It's true.
It's definitely my patience is being tested, I think. Depending on what you're watching, I guess. If it's background noise, I don't really care. But if I'm super into something and I get blasted with car dealership commercial or something, I'm not feeling that. I'm not good with that.
I think it's interesting because I think the older I'm getting, and again, I don't watch a whole lot of cable TV.
Yeah.
So I'm not watching like an hour-long show, air quotes, hour-long show that's 42 minutes, right, with the 18 or however far they're pushing it now with the ads during the middle. I do remember when I was growing up, I used to watch Smallville a ton, just all the time. And that was like kind of the classic, drives me crazy with the commercials. And then like I watched it so much, like I knew how long I had like to do that kind of thing. We moved our Netflix over to like an ad-supported Netflix just because we don't use it enough to try to have a revolving, like, I don't know. We don't need to pay for the high dollar for watching. And then we also didn't need to pay for like the 4K thing when we were trying to watch Prison Break, which wasn't even in 4K when it came out. You know what I mean? Like, so we did like the $7.99 or whatever it was for ad-supported. And to be completely honest, it was kind of nice having like a little bit of a break. Now, I didn't want it to be ads that was breaking it up, but just one of those things. So, but I would agree. I think it was so jarring. And when you're trying to watch something and you're like trying to watch it quiet or something, and then it just jumps up.
Yeah.
Things like that. Let's throw this in. My patience is being tested.
There's I don't know how much late night Comedy Central you watched. in the early 2000s. That might have been a little before.
Yeah, a little bit.
But like I would be watching, I don't know, South Park or something late night, which is even by itself is a little, as a preteen or teenager. I think I was 10 when it first aired or whatever. But then the commercials on Comedy Central past midnight were like Girls Gone Wild advertisements or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And they were also loud. So you're like muting the TV.
Uh-huh.
It was, yeah. So I didn't appreciate that, Comedy Central. I did
That's
not.
funny. All right, let's keep moving. The next one, pretty straightforward. This is just a loud chomper, a loud chewer.
Straight to hell.
Yeah, someone eating with their mouth opens. Not understanding having any etiquette at the table. This is something that thankfully I don't have a ton of people around me who have, who do that or have done that. But I also don't know that I would have been able to hold it together had they done that. So it's kind of like the Lord blessed me and knew that, like, okay, this is not something to try him with because he may ruin a friendship. So,
kids don't get it for the most part.
That's fair. And I have not had kids yet.
I don't think Reagan knows when she's doing it. So we tell her. It's mostly like eating, if she's distracted, so she's having like a snack and watching something on her iPad and eating like Cheetos or chips or something, she has a tendency to take several bites of the chip in a row.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And it's not even, for me, it's not even people chewing loudly, like not knowing they're doing it. It's the sound of chewing things that's loud. If you're eating ice, popcorn, chips, anything super crunchy, it's grating to me. I think I do a decent job holding it together, but I'm sure my family disagrees. So yeah, but if you're doing blatant open mouth chewing, smacking your lips, I'm gonna be like, dude, what are you?
There's gonna be one person out there who has their earbuds in that just heard that right there.
Yeah,
and they got triggered by it. So.
Yeah, sorry. I know how it feels. I truly want to apologize for that. If we could add a tier that says actively losing it inside, you don't have to do that. But yeah, that's how I feel for like if I'm in public and there's somebody sitting near me that's like, I'm not gonna say something to them, but I'm gonna say something about them when I get in the car.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. All right, let's see if I can not break this thing. But I'm all about that because I don't know that I would be able to hold it together in any capacity if I was dealing with that. So yeah, we will put the actively losing it inside above the top there. That's gonna go there.
I can pinpoint the exact moment in my life when I was made aware of this issue, and it was like I can't remember what grade it was. I was in elementary school. I was sitting in the cafeteria eating. And one of the kids sitting across from me was like, said something to the effect of, "Did anybody ever tell you to chew with your mouth closed?" And I had no idea I was doing it, and now I'm hyper aware.
Man, the amount of times that something like that happened, and like something happens in your life, and so and it just cements in your brain. And like the thing is, like there's things that people will say. I've been a big boy my entire life, right? So like there's things people say to you growing up, and then it wasn't until someone called me fat or something in school, and I hit him with the the shocked face, like astonished. I'm like, dude, I had no clue. And I hit him with that one time in front of people. People laughed at them instead of me at that point. And then pretty much no one ever made a weight comment at that point because it was like the epicenter of it. But in that kind of same realm, it's like it was the people who said something that weren't trying to be mean. Like they just pointed something out and you're like, hold on. You're the nice person telling me how many mean people, are hearing about this or feeling that way and stuff. So that kind of thing growing up, I was hyper sensitive of that. So, but all right, let's keep rolling here. Keep the momentum going. The next one, if you're watching the video, you probably understand what we're doing here. It's people who don't put their shopping carts back. So we know this is the litmus test for if you're a good person or not. I mean, if you can do something as simple as putting your shopping cart back when no one's watching, and do, or when you think no one's watching, things of that sort. That's a pretty good sign that person's a good human being,
Right.
Responsible. They're going to take care of. They're not a menace to society. So, Nick, where's this settle for you? What do you think when? So here's. Let me preface this. I feel like there's a difference between there's a rogue shopping cart that I can't tell if that has just come out of, like someone didn't get it far enough into the little bay area. Right. And there's a difference in like my blood boiling when I watch someone specifically, like they'll act like they're doing a good deed and they'll like push it to the median or like to the the
or
little thing.
Put two wheels up in the grass, like the planter or whatever.
Dude,
that's in between so it doesn't roll away. Well, it's not going to roll anywhere and hit anybody's car. That's not the point. The point is put it back.
Yeah.
So that the high schooler who's making $4 an hour doesn't have to walk all over the goddamn parking lot to find the carts.
It drives me insane. We go to Publix sometimes around the corner. It's crazy expensive for all grocery shopping, but just for little things, we'll go to the Publix. And they pretty much have people out in the parking lot at all times, like on the prowl. And they do a really, really good job of, they've struck a good balance of like not creeping on you and making you feel rushed, but like they will be in the vicinity. So as soon as you pull that last grocery out of your cart, they're snagging that thing for you to take it because they're not even risking those things going anywhere or getting rid of them. So
also shout out Publix because their deli section is top tier.
Oh my gosh.
Their hot and spicy wings are like $20 for a big bucket of wings, and they're delicious. Everything. Honestly, but you're right, everything else is expensive. It's like it's wild.
Honestly, we should, Heather and I should do that more often because we've talked about that. We talked about doing some wings from Publix for the Super Bowl. This has nothing to do with our tier list, but we had enough. We made a bunch of stuff here at the house for that. So, what's your gut? What's your gut feeling on this? Where are we sitting?
I'm patience being tested. I will grab other carts on my way to the cart corral,
right?
Put them back. Just. There's been times where I've gone to like Walmart or whatever, and I'll try to pull into a parking spot. It's got carts in it, which funny enough, usually that scenario happens at the hardware store, which I don't understand, but I don't know. Maybe dudes in big, huge pickup trucks feel like they don't have to put their carts away, whatever, which is also fun to go to Lowe's and park in the veteran spot where it's normally like Ram 2500s and I'm driving a Fiesta. Anyway, but I've seen, I went to Walmart one day and there were like 3 carts stacked into each other on the line in between 2 parking spots.
Yeah. About
4 parking spots away from a cart corral. And then like I saw the person leaving, put their cart in those carts and get in the car and leave.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing? But like I don't ever see it at Costco. I do see carts getting thrown, they get pushed into the corral because Costco's cart corrals are big, wide.
Yeah.
And they have those, like, the flatbed carts. So it gets kind of jumbled up and somebody will just kind of haphazardly throw their cart in there or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's fine. They made an effort at least. It's not rolling out into the parking lot. But, slightly above. Come on, man. Just because you can't take 10 seconds to look around. I mean, the cart corrals are placed so that they're never that far away. Unless you're parking at the very back of the parking lot, they're never that far away from your car.
This is a pro tip for anyone at home listening, I guess for you too, Nick, because I've never told you this. One of my favorite moves. So this will happen at Target a lot. Like if we go to Target, something of that sort, and there's just no carts available. Usually it's a Saturday, right? Like early Saturday, midday Saturday. When you take your cart out, you get one. Find the parent or something, the person who's already looking stressed, and they're on their way in. And if you don't want to, if you're like, I don't really want to take my cart back, whatever. If you're feeling that rise up and all, look around, be aware of your surroundings. Find that person who's looking a little stressed and say, hey, there's not many carts in there. Why don't you take this one? It will light their day up they will have so much life come back in their life, even if, because you always have plausible deniability. There could have been that teenager who just pushed a big thing of carts in there, but you know what? That person's carrying a heavy purse. They're carrying their kid in. The kid's screaming, whatever. You get them in the cart as fast as humanly possible. They can keep them, engaged in there. They get that done. You just made someone's day. Give that a shot next time. Find someone walking and be like, hey, there weren't many carts in there. Or you could say, bunch of them had bad wheels. Why don't you take this one because this one's got the good wheels. Just make someone's day. Just my little pro tip for you. So.
Yeah, all right. I'll keep that in mind.
So, all right, next one. If you're seeing the video, you already know what it is. Someone who does not know how to use their turn signal.
I was thinking something different.
Yeah?
What were you thinking? A very specific petty grievance about turn signals, and it's with my wife's Chrysler 200, and that every time I try and signal right and push it up, it flips back down.
Really?
It won't stay up. It's because it's a Chrysler, and it's made out of basically rocks and mud. It works when she does it, and it doesn't work when I do it, and she's like, you're pressing it too hard. I
don't feel like that should be a thing.
Just the most gentle lift flops right back down. It's made me yell obscenities in the car just because of that thing. Sorry, that's a side note. People who don't signal also make me yell obscenities. Yeah. Because what are you doing?
Yeah, there are a lot of, I don't know, I feel like you could probably say this about any part of America, or at least the Midwest. There's
everywhere
a lot
has
of
the worst drivers.
Right. There's a lot of T stops around us where there's one stop sign, traffic's ongoing, doing whatever. But right around our house, there's a couple I can just visualize in my head. And so you reach this point. And the other thing that I don't really think we want to put it into its own tier, but the thing that frustrates me is when someone is in I guess I don't even actually know the real answer to this because it would change depending on where I am. But let's say you have 2 lanes, right, at the T-stop. One that is a right turn lane, so you can turn right as soon as it's clear for you. And then you got a left turn. And when you're doing that little dance with them, you're trying to get out far enough so you can see, okay, is anyone
talking
coming?
About oncoming traffic's not stopping?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you're fighting with the person who's directly next to you. Let's say you're trying to turn right. So you're just trying to see, but they keep creeping forward because they're trying to see around you to see if they can turn left. It's irritating. I don't know. I don't know the answer to it, but I also don't feel like it really falls on this list anywhere.
Well, that's a specific problem I don't have because my car's so small, most people can just see over it. So they'll see the oncoming. But I do have the problem where I have to move forward to see past their car, but they're not. It's not a back and forth because they can see over me.
That's fair. I'm in my mid-size, Chevy Impala.
Yeah,
so
I'm a normal person car, not a small Fiesta. I get it.
Yeah. Well, fits normal and abnormally sized humans in it. So that's why I got it for all the leg room. So, but anyways, where you fallen, I guess let me go back to my point. So when, let's say I'm not fighting with anyone on that positioning to try to see, and I'm just turning right, I see a car coming down over this hill, no turn signal, no turn signal, no turn signal. They get 2 seconds away from me. I mean,
yeah.
And then they flip it on for just a tiny second, and then they whip in. They barely slow down. They turn on that thing. I'm like, if you would have turned on your turn signal at the top of that hill, I'd be home by now. Where this T stop is, I'm just like,
I don't trust it either way. To be honest,
I'm
waiting until I know that car's turning. I have more of a problem when I'm behind that car, and I'm trying to cruise, and they all of a sudden, as they're turning, turn their turn signal on. That's not how it works. The turn signal is so that all of the cars behind you and also in front of you know in a timely fashion that you're about to make a turn. And they should have time to adjust their driving based on which way you're turning and how it's going. So if they're turning left against traffic, I know I might need to stop all the way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm making a evasive maneuver, which in that specific situation where somebody's on 2-lane road turning left across traffic, there could be another car turning left the other way, and if I have to make an evasive maneuver, I'm getting T-boned by this other car because I didn't know. Yeah. So, I mean, every single time I get in the car, I yell at somebody because they didn't turn their turn signal on. It's so stupid. All you have to do, you don't even have to think about it. You don't even have to take your hand off the steering wheel
It's true.
to use your middle finger, which you're probably already using against other drivers, to just turn on the stupid light.
Yep.
And then, sometimes there's probably 1% of cases I'm getting mad at somebody who turns their turn signal on. The light might be out and they don't know it or whatever.
That's fair.
But for the most part, it's people. My biggest grievance is like changing lanes on the highway.
Yeah.
You don't get to just slowly merge over with no turn signal. Turn it on. Even if you turn it on while you're merging, at least I see they made an effort to let everybody know. Otherwise, are you drunk? Are you having a heart attack? You're just weaving into a different lane? What's going on?
Yep.
Let me know.
Try to figure it out.
So
I feel strongly about this. However, I would love to be able to tell you that I'm not at times the person who just space brain like on the highway when I'm going, just kind of doing that. I try my best, obviously, but I'm gonna do that. We have a big gap in the middle, and I don't feel that strongly like I'm about to lose it. So
Yeah.
we're gonna slip this into if this happens one more time in an
That's
exasperated manner.
You give them an opportunity to like correct the wrong that they've done. But
Yep. So, okay, this next one was a little niche, but this is something that I have a grievance with. This is when, so it started out, the idea started as like, okay, someone brings you a little soda pop at whatever restaurant you're at, but they put too much ice in it, so you got like you're paying for expensive water at that point, right? Like it's just all ice, no drink. But then I thought about it more. I'm like, I don't know where you fall on this. I would prefer. I'm the guy hitting the extra ice customization on like McDonald's. Like if I'm trying to order something, because I would take like a drink or two less for how crispy that at McDonald's Coke or Sprite or whatever is going to be, because they put the right amount of ice in there. And if it's too little, it's just not getting it. It ain't got the bubbles, ain't got all that stuff. So I guess my thing is like, obviously this is not that deep, but it's the feeling of like someone's just messing up that formula. Like they've either brought you something and there's like one, and I know my mom, I saw her last weekend. She's like, why don't I ever get any call outs on the pod? She's always, her move is always like, order my drink, immediately order an entire cup of ice that comes with it. So she can just set whatever her ratio is. She can do whatever.
Oh, you guys didn't do this right. She just starts. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it should be no surprise to anybody at this point that I'm weird. So I have this relationship with food and drink where like none of it really bothers me one way or the other, right? Unless it's got olives in it. I will not eat olives. I would like to say this. I don't know if I've said it before. I do try them probably once a year to make sure I don't like them, and I hate them every time. So like if, for instance, if we have a drink from McDonald's or whatever, and it sits on the counter, and I come back to it later, and the ice is melted, I'm just giving it a little swirl, spilling shit all over my desk, giving it a little swirl, and I'm drinking it. I'm down in it because it still tastes kind of like Coke or whatever. I like a crispy. I like a good old crispy fountain soda, but it's not a requirement. So I kind of take it like this. Sometimes you get the good ones, and I appreciate those a lot. Sometimes you get the not crispy ones are a little warmer than you want, but you get more of the drink, and I appreciate those too. So yeah, this is a meh whatever, because I'll drink nearly half and half melted ice and Coke and not complain about it.
That's fair. The problem that I run into, and what I would say, is when like yours is Taco Bell. I actually have, because you've talked about Taco Bell so many times on the podcast, I've had more Taco Bell in the last probably month.
Download the app.
Than like forever. I actually did. Because I was like, I'm sure there's some sort of reward in there and whatever. And so Heather and I, we had a weird day the other day where like we had both eaten later in the day than we usually did, and we just weren't hungry at normal dinner time. And then like
you got a little fourth meal?
We did. So it kind of compounded to the point where we're looking up at it's like 8:30, and I'm like, I don't want anything crazy, but some cheesy Fiesta potatoes from Taco Bell, which is my favorite thing on Taco Bell's menu. But I have also not explored too far into the reaches, so maybe at some point we'll have to have a conversation.
If you want to do a tier list, Taco Bell, I got notes on
we
just
might,
about
we
everything.
might be able to do that. Things we're super passionate about, throw that in there. But typically McDonald's is that's my crux. And I know. If you're, I don't know why you're listening. If you're like some big health buff thing, whatever.
Dude,
why are you here? But
why am I here? The amount I talk about Taco Bell, I like what I had for dinner last night was a piece of fried tilapia and some mashed potatoes. Like, I'm legitimately trying to be healthy and lose weight, but also Taco Bell.
Yeah. Yo quiero. So we just hit this place, man, where we're, I'm just living life, man, and I'm gonna get me a McDonald's Coke, and I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And so, but the problem is they have their automated systems, right? So like they put it in, they push the button, say large Coke or whatever. If that ice doesn't dispense properly, they're not giving me more Coke. I'm just getting a big gap of air at the top, at least at McDonald's. So if you got a place where they're filling it up, and you tell them no ice, light ice, whatever, they may still fill it up. You may get extra, but you're probably not at McDonald's. The other thing I heard, this was on a podcast one time. I don't remember who it was, but I remember seeing it. I was just scrolling TikTok, saw it. Something to think about. If you're really, really hankering for a fountain drink, go inside to get that. Yeah, because if you think about it, if you still have it, all of the fountain drinks have their individual spouts for them. But when you're doing it through the drive-thru, especially at McDonald's, they're all coming out the same one. So you're kind of getting this amalgamation of all the different flavors.
It's like when you go to a bar or whatever and they get the little gun. Yeah.
I love those things, though. Those things are so cool. It would be dangerous, but we have a little wet bar here in the basement. Wow.
We're going to retrofit it with a bar soda dispenser?
Can you imagine?
You're going to put
I can't imagine, and it's dangerous, so I need to not imagine.
G20 spout on it?
Dude, that'd be so sick. All right, let's keep rolling here. I'll get these done. We'll keep the pod under an hour, so we're gonna knock this out here. This next one is you get thrown into group chats that you never asked for, and you also it's with people that you feel like you can't get out of. It's like I can't just like immediately remove myself from this. So you look down at your phone. You can mute it, but you're still gonna get those notifications. So
yeah.
Where are we falling?
That's tough. It does depend on like who's in it, what the conversation is. But I'll tell you this: no matter where this falls on the list, I'm gonna make everybody regret putting me on that group chat. I'm gonna blow it up. It's gonna be. I'm responding reverse. To everything. Yeah, you'll be like, shit. I wish we never would have added him.
Yeah,
I'm sending GIFs, memes. It's just I'm reacting to everybody's messages. This one for me is almost a meh. Whatever, I could put it at come on, man, just because how active I am in group chats anyway. Yeah. So
you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Hopping in there. I think it's for the people who typically lurk like in the chats and stuff like that. Like Dougie.
Yeah.
That man will never respond to any group chat.
I know. I got to message him directly.
Yep.
On Discord. I'm usually starting group chats. I'm like bringing people together. Fair. So yeah. I can empathize, I guess, with like having conversation foisted upon you that you didn't want.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, but it's not going to ruin my day.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's keep rolling here. This one is when you are, let's say you're walking, you could even expound this to driving, but it's when you're in a lane situation and you got someone who's just, we're not talking medical issues here. We're not talking age issues here. We're just talking to someone who's just oblivious to everyone around you.
Yeah.
And they're just taking their sweet time. And there's no way to get around them.
Right.
Maybe let's think about like being in the airport. So Indy Airport, famous. They got the
people movers,
goated people movers. They're just awesome. But you get someone who's just said, you know what?
Just plops down right on it.
Exactly. I'm not using this. I'm not utilizing these people movers to actually keep walking. They're like, nope, I'm just going to sit still. There's nothing worse. Nothing
and
worse.
you don't get to them till halfway through, and then you realize I could have walked normal walking faster than this. Yeah. Or escalators.
Yep.
When it's escalators, when it's not a lot of people, like leaving a sporting event, Bankers Life or Gainbridge Fieldhouse where the Pacers play, they have escalators, but there's thousands of people, right? So you kind of, although the last time we went to the IU game, they have an escalator. It's kind of the same thing. A lot of people are leaving all at once. There were college girls that stopped. Not right at the bottom, but you know how the landing of the escalator has a big metal square. They were on that square, and they were about a half a second from getting shoulder checked before they moved. I mean,
yeah,
I was not about to hold up traffic on an escalator because
what they stopped for?
Looking around, trying to figure out where people were or something like, oblivious, like you said. Which I'm a fan of moving slow. If you want to move slow and take in the sights or do whatever, you got your own pace, but you need to be self-aware and make sure you're not impeding other people.
Yep.
I'm gonna I'm putting this one if it happens one more time, because if I'm walking through the store and it's happening over and over, I'm just there for two things. I'm speed walking, trying to get something. Somebody's got their cart blocking the whole aisle.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever. Come on, man, get out of the way before we have a problem.
For sure. All right, we got one more here. Then, this wouldn't be a ForcedToPod episode if we didn't have some sort of bathroom-related conversation. That feeling that you have inside when you just showered, you're completely fresh, and a poop hits you. And you're like, come on, what am I about to do here? What can I do?
You're about to take another shower. So what you're about to do?
Yeah, I'm about to lose it, man. I'm doing it. This drives me insane. So, I don't know. It's kind of, honestly, it was kind of like a levity thing. Wanted to throw this in here right at the end. So, you got any serious thoughts about?
No, because I'm usually pretty. Well, I have several thoughts. I know I'm trying to. Usually pretty good about making sure I get it done before.
Yeah, me too, brother. But it's just the times where it does.
Well, here's why this isn't a thing I think about often. I'm gonna say this, but I want to save the brunt of the conversation for when Walker's back, because I know he's wanted to talk about it. Having a bidet makes this not a problem.
That's fair.
It's not a problem anymore. You just took a shower and you're like, dang it, I gotta dump. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna be just as clean. Just I didn't use soap, but I'm still rinsed. There's no lingering. Nothing. You're good to go. That's what I'll say about that. I know it's been on the conversation docket for a while. So we'll wait until he comes back from pooping in a bucket in the woods. Well, not the woods, in the desert.
A very high class bucket. So yeah, I can't wait to
expandable wipe tablets.
Yep. I can't wait to hear all about that there. So yeah, thank you. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. I've enjoyed this. This was cool. This is light. A good way to start a Saturday here. So hey, I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna download this, and this is a shameless plug. I'm gonna put this up in the ForcedToPod Discord, bit.ly/ForcedToPod Discord, all one word. If you would like to join the conversation, you'd like to see these, you'd like to weigh in on where you would put some of these, or maybe some other petty grievances. Let us know how you like this. This was nice. Nick, thank you, brother. Have a good Saturday. For anyone at home, thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. And until next time, be well.
Peace.